It says we're live, and this is a brand new episode 67 of the Odd G's podcast, part of the Not For Long Media Network. Jason Martinez, and there he is, Harry May. He's got the Not For Long hat on today. Nice work, Harry.
Yeah, I'm repping the company colors today, and Pharrell Media.
Mine's buried under the 86 CCM hats I have.
Yeah,
but we are Not For Long brothers.
There you go. I kind of like the way this hat fits. Like it's like real comfortable on my big head.
Yeah, it like settles on it and envelops it very nicely.
Yes. Yeah, there's certain hats like really fit my head well. Like I've got this one golf hat with the 1912 Club logo on it that is kind of a mesh in the back, and I like white hats to play golf in. Yeah, no, not like that. It's like the good mesh, not the trucker mesh. That's trucker mesh, what you just showed me.
Oh.
And then I got a Titleist hat that fits me really well, and I wear those hats so much that I got to put them in the freaking dishwasher to clean them.
Yep.
Yeah, white hats. We sweat in a white hat in the summertime playing golf. Oh, it just looks so awful. Like there's guys that actually wear hats like this with white salt stains around. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Clean your freaking hat.
Well, the other thing too is they get dirty because when you're golfing, you're picking up a ball off the ground.
Well, yeah, the brim will get dirty from that.
Yes,
no doubt. You're cleaning off your ball or whatever, and then you touch the hat. But I'm just saying, from the sweat around the crown here, it gets yellow and dingy. That looks like shit. Like you got to clean your freaking hat. If you can't afford to buy a new one, put them in the dishwasher. If you don't have a dishwasher, get a toothbrush and wet the hat under the sink. Rub some soap on it and scrub that bitch.
What do you look like, Silvio Dante cleaning the stuff at his desk in The Sopranos?
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes.
See, I prefer I like the infrared, like that's a dry fit material, right?
Yeah, very comfortable.
Very comfortable, airy. I prefer the CCM hats that I wear. This is called a slouch. For
slouch.
Good damn reason.
We had the slouches on last night on my golf podcast.
Who are the slouches?
The Tremendous Slouches, a group of 7 guys locally based that play a lot of golf, and they go to all different places, sort of like bucket list places, and post pictures of it on Instagram. I know one of the guys.
And what are they called? The Tremendous Slouches?
Yeah, it's for the Caddyshack reference.
That's great. I love it.
Oh, don't kid yourself. You're a tremendous slouch.
That's Ty Webb, of course, who delivered that line, Chevy Chase.
Yes. I don't keep score. How do you measure yourself against other men? By height. That movie that movie always wins.
It does. It's so good.
That's called a slouch, huh?
Yeah, that's a slouch. Like, because a lot of them have that firmness in this part, and being a shorter guy, I can't have something that makes my head look bigger. Right. Then I look like a fucking Oompa Loompa. Because I'm short.
Right.
So the slouch and the CCM bucket looks very good. Now, I did get an email the other day. I'm on the CCM mailing list, Harry.
Okay.
And I get like different emails throughout the year of, when they have stuff for sale. Like I got this one, CCM Overtime Week, and they have a bunch of stuff for sale. They got new skates and some apparel, and looks like some buckets here and all that. It's a sale. It's a marketing thing. But I got one the other day, and they had their golf shirt collection.
Is that right?
And I was looking at that. I almost sent it to you, Harry, because I think you'd look good on the course in a nice CCM shirt.
What brand shirt is it?
CCM.
No. That they just put their logo on it. It's not I doubt it's a CCM shirt. I mean, I would hope they're doing like a Peter Millar, some sort of quality, shirt that they just brand and put their logo on it.
Let me look here. I'm going to send this to you.
All right.
But they're beautiful shirts. I mean, you won't think, Harry, of hockey when you wear this shirt, because
it's a beautiful shirt.
Like hockey style. You're not going to go, I look like I belong in a barn.
Right.
This is quality golf apparel.
Okay.
And it looks like it's pretty reasonably priced here from their site. $39.99 for a men's fitted polo.
That's very affordable.
Yeah.
I mean, that's borderline cheap.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, look here. I'll put this one up on the screen. This is a nice shirt, and I think I'm gonna do a little early Christmas shopping to get that for you for courtesy of the program.
Oh, they actually are CCM shirts. They aren't. Yeah, there's one that has a skate on it.
Yeah, and look at the one I got up here on the screen. I'm not sure what those little things are on it. I can't.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm looking at. Like one is a skate. It looks like, and it looks like another one was like a sun. I don't know.
Yeah, it's got a zip on it too. That one.
It does.
Yeah, it's a quarter. That they call that, Harry, a quarter zip.
Oh, the quarter zip. Yeah, very popular. Yeah, the quarter zips.
But I'm going to do some shopping on there for you, Harry.
Jeez, no, I got enough shirts. I'm good.
Let's get to the big news, Harry, because there was a shakeup, and some people were let go in sports radio, and behind the scenes as well. I thought the timing of this was really weird, but let's just first mention Hunter Brody, who was on the afternoon show with Tyrone, Ricky Batalico, and
Jen Scordo, I think.
Yeah, and
Jennifer Scordo. Yeah,
yeah,
best show ever.
Best show ever. And in the afternoons, and the Fanatic took over for Mike, and he gets let go. Hunter does, and then behind the scenes, I'm not sure what Camille's title was at this point, but
coach.
Yeah, it's always been that. Yeah. So Coach Camille was let go, and I think some salespeople too. I'm not sure what their names are, but obviously it sucks. And you get all the. I'm sure you got the same text. This business of sports radio that we got into, it sucks because this just happens more and more. I mean, it's always happened.
Yeah,
but it wasn't about just subtracting before. It was about, if you didn't perform, you got let go, and we move somebody else in. They don't do that anymore. They get rid of people and they don't replace them.
Right.
So this one, I mean, they're down to the barest of bones already.
Yeah, and good on Tyrone, because I heard that he went on the air and basically took responsibility for Broads being let go, saying that if he's the leader of that show, and if that show performed better and won, or it didn't have to win, but it had to be, competitive. And it hasn't been competitive since the 11 months since they started the thing. And he took ownership of it and blamed himself. So, I give him credit for doing that.
I do as well.
When the show was announced, I immediately raised an eyebrow. I'm thinking, is that gonna win? Like, I don't know if that's gonna win. Like, I kind of had doubts about it from the start. But you never like to see anybody lose their gig. Who I know Broads does a lot of stuff on his own YouTube channel and was doing that before he became part of the Fanatic. And they kind of brought him in there and on weekends and sort of, got him into the flow, and then eventually, made him a part of this big show to replace Mike. And it's like, it's a tough spot because you never want to be the guy to replace the guy.
Yeah.
Like
replaces the replacement.
Yeah. Now, the camera's kind of in a different situation because that station is kind of an automatic. That station is basically on autopilot.
Yeah.
Okay. But so him replacing the guy, that's probably going to work. But as far as from us, we were in an underdog situation, and Mike was the lead show. And although, the ratings were not what they were in previous, years, it was still the show. And to replace that's a tough spot. So
yeah, I mean, you're replacing so much. Mike, Mike from, God, what was it, 11 years, I guess, 12 years that he was there. You're trying to replace the habit of Mike. That's really difficult.
Yeah.
It's hard to do. And whereas DeCamera, when he went to mornings, it was his existing show that went to mornings. This all of a sudden wasn't an existing show.
No.
It was a new show made
that people had to get used to and had to like. And it wasn't like, oh, we love this show in the middays, and now they're moving it to afternoon drive.
Yeah.
That's a different story. Yeah.
Very little people have the patience to grow with a show in today's society. You know why? Because we don't have the patience for anything.
Right. Plus, they're always comparing it to the previous show.
Yep.
You know, I experienced this many times, you know, having worked with Bruno.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, oh, well, this isn't the same. It can't be the same.
Yeah.
Like
nobody else is Tony.
Right. How could it ever be the same?
Yeah.
It's different.
You do the show with Bruno, and then you're working with Brian Westbrook. You're like, this isn't like Tony.
Yeah. Oh. What's going on here?
Working with Baldies, you mean it's not like Tony? It's
right.
Wacky.
Yeah.
But different.
And I had to do that dance every day at noon. Going from that show to the other show.
Literally during a commercial break, you had to pivot.
Right.
To a different show.
Right.
That's not easy.
Right. To go from a driver of the show that was kind of more seriously sports based with fun, don't get me wrong, to a Bruno show, which is totally, I mean, there's no rules there. And then I had to run, you know, in the sidecar with Tony and follow him and anticipate where he was going before he went there.
Yeah.
That's what made that show work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you about working with Tony, because obviously, Harry, when there are shakeups in radio, I saw it all over social media. I'm sure you got text too. Put Mays and Bruno back on in afternoons. That'll save this. Yeah. That'll save the station. You know, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's not happening.
I was reading through the Facebook comments, and you know, Mays and Bruno gets brought up as one of those all-time Philly shows that is very revered.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like, you know, Mike and Steve.
Yeah.
S&M, or those shows. There's not many of those shows that are put on that mantle, but Mays and Bruno, or Bruno and Mays, was.
Yeah.
What was it like working with Tony? Pull the curtain back here, Harry. I think everybody wants to know.
Well, I think it was just as it sounded. It was insane. I mean,
yes.
You know, I mean, Tony really, to me, he was the same off the air as he was on the air, you know, and like I just kind of got him. Like you have to get him in order to be able to work with him, and you know, anticipate where he's going, deal with it, because sometimes you're like, oh, really, you know, but you got to go with it, and you got, you know, because that's what people want in the show.
Yeah.
Was, you know, setting up the sound drops, you know, some of the, you know, the same old punchlines or whatever it was. That was comfort food for the people that loved the show.
Yeah.
You know,
and you had to let him.
Yeah.
I think this was important. You had to let him have his shticks, you know,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the bumpty bumps.
Yeah.
You never wanted to try and weed that out of him.
No.
He needed those were his comfort blankets.
Yep. And it was a lot of timing on that show. Like you had to really sit back and like, I want to say something, but I know this isn't the right moment to do it. Yeah. Like, wait, let it breathe. Give him an extra second, because he might come up with the beautiful, you know, or something else, and you don't want to step on that.
Yeah, you don't want to ruin a pregnant pause. Beautiful, man.
Yeah. Hey, Tony, how you doing? Let me check. Beautiful, man. Like, you know, so many times did I want to come in there and say something.
Yeah, like, you've got to be faster.
Yeah, like, are you serious?
I'll tell you, like, I didn't know you. I didn't know Tony, you know, personally at all.
Yeah.
When I got let go from WIP. And I remember listening to the show when I was doing some driving for a job I was doing for an ad agency. I was doing a bunch of voiceover work for him. So I used to go up there every day. And I would listen to the show, and I'm like, I thought that timing was like right there all the time with you two. Then I remember they made the change, Harry, and they moved Johnny Marks in. And we know John's a friend.
Yeah.
He's been on this podcast. But John and Tony's timing never worked. And I just felt like I constantly was being headbutted listening to those two after listening to you and Tony.
That's when I was on the Maze to Midnight.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was an adventure. I tell you, I didn't like having to wait around all day. Like you're waiting around all day to go to work. Like that was the part of that really kind of, I didn't like.
Yeah. I've said that to people too. When you do nights in performance work,
right?
People go, well, you just chill out all day. I go,
no, you can't.
You know, the mentality in your head is, I got to go to work.
Yep. And I'm also like, what am I going to talk about? I mean, I'm constantly was searching for things, you know, ideas. Yeah. So basically you're working all day, and then you do the show at night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So best to everybody that was let go. And
yeah.
And, you know, when I got let go, you know, a lot of people had the same feeling, like, holy shit, what am I going to do?
Mm-hmm.
Now, Broads isn't north of 50 or in his 40s like I was.
Mm-hmm.
Or when you left, you were north of 50. I think Camille probably is. I'm not sure it's exact
Yeah,
age,
I don't know.
But I mean, it's fucking scary. Like, Camille's got kids. You know, you're just like, holy shit, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
You know?
Will he have to get rid of the Czechoslovakian Mercedes now?
he may need to downgrade, Harry.
He might have to downsize a little bit.
They used to call that thing the Czech.
That's what I used to.
It was always in the shop.
I know. I'm like, is that a real Mercedes? I think that was made in Czechoslovakia, not
He
Germany.
bought an emblem, Harry. So best of those guys. I think Broads Hunter will be totally fine. He's in this new media world already and always was with the YouTube stuff. I think he'll be fine. But everybody else, best of luck. It sucks, and I don't know where the whole thing's going.
Yeah,
you know, we talked about it on Mikey Misses Pod. You know, I think that station should just focus on demand content. Basically, I would put on like 7 2-hour shows and then podcast them. I wouldn't even care about the live audience. It would just be a device for me to record all my stuff and pump it out on demand.
Wow.
And I would make people listen to my stuff on demand. And
are there any other stations like that you know of? Because that's a concept that I've never even heard of.
Yep. Nobody's doing it yet. I'm telling you, Harry, I'm ahead of the game here because the sooner you realize you cannot change people's lives and when they can
and listening habits. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
The sooner you can do that and give them the stuff that they can take and listen when they want,
right,
the better off you're going to be. Now, people go, well, you're doing podcast radio. They podcast their shows. Yeah, but podcasting a 4-hour show in on-demand format is overwhelming to people. They got to realize in this format, you have to deliver less because if you deliver too much,
I'm all about that.
Yes.
I was always about that.
That is why you are excelling at on-demand, Harry.
I'm like, less is more.
But it is because people consume on-demand content episodically, like a TV show.
Right.
They won't watch episode 5 until they've watched episode 4. But if episode 4 was too long and they can't listen to that, they don't go on to episode 5. It overwhelms them, and then they're out. You've lost them.
Right.
So just deliver them, and don't go on just for the sake of going on. There's one rule when it comes to podcasting that I tell people that I believe. The show is over when the content starts to wane. Get off.
Right.
You don't need to stretch an hour. You got 17 minutes in you? Good.
I like this.
68? Good.
I like this idea.
Yes. Harry's the president.
Oh, man.
Yeah, just crazy stuff over there. And, you know, one thing I did want to bring up, too, I put out this tweet the other night, the day I guess that all that went down. I just put 2 random tweets before I go off to bed. And, you know, one of them was about, you know, people celebrating when people lose their job.
Oh, yeah. You get that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it comes with it. You know, it's part of the gig. So what I said was it was really simple. I just said, having spent 25 years in radio, seeing people celebrate someone losing their job and livelihood is as ugly as it gets. I understand on-air jobs come with that element, but that doesn't make that any less ugly. You know, what are your thoughts on that? Because, you know, when you left, or I don't think people were like, good, fire that guy.
There were some. Yeah, I saw some of that.
There's always some, but
yeah.
I would think that you maybe got a lot less than Hunter got, or if Tyrone would get, or even Mike for that matter.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they got, but yeah, you're always going to get some of that. And it's like, you know, people love to take shots at people that are in that business, TV, whatever it is, any kind of entertainment kind of mode. Yeah, exactly. So it's like a piling on effect, you know, because so much of this stuff now is public. You know, websites constantly, you know, referring to Radio Wars Crossing Broad, and they give out the ratings, and man, people then see, man, that show's getting destroyed, or, you know, WIP's got a 17 share and they got a 3 and all this stuff. You suck, you know, and then they start to pile on. And then when somebody inevitably loses their job, you know, in a situation like that, it's like, yeah, you suck anyway. That show's, you know, you're always going to get that. You got to let it roll off your back. I mean, I hope these folks don't take it to heart.
Yeah.
You know,
it's one of those things. Like one of the guys that responded to me basically said, you know, this is a double-edged sword, because on the radio doing that job, you sit there and say, so-and-so needs to be fired. So-and-so needs to be cut. Player.
Athletes,
that's their job,
coaches.
In life.
Yeah. Right. And but those guys have guaranteed contracts in a lot of sense, and they get paid a good bit of money to walk away. Like if I was an NBA coach, like in a 5-year deal, and I got whacked after year 2, I'm like, let's bring it on. You know, I'll just go work for ESPN or one of the networks, and I'll keep some of my money. And you know, it's totally different. You got like, you know, maybe 90 days of severance, and you're out in your ass.
90.
Well, I'm saying that's good.
Yeah,
30 days maybe.
When I got let go, Harry, I was let go on Halloween at probably 3:30 in the afternoon. By the time I got back to the station from the remote, from the go, and I lost my benefits that night at midnight.
Wow.
I have 3 kids.
You're on the Cobra. They put you on the Cobra.
Yeah. He looks like a cobra with the shorts and the whole thing. Yeah. That night at midnight, I had to, you know, it was a Thursday, so Friday I had to sit there literally and fill out all the Cobra stuff to make sure I had coverage.
That's heartless.
Yeah. Couldn't believe it. I thought this timing of the firings was weird too. Mid-month, and summer is usually not a time when you get corporate cuts.
Yeah.
So
usually it's on a Friday too when they let the air personnel go.
Yep.
Usually on a Friday morning or before your shift, if you're in the afternoon, whatever it is, it's usually the last day of the work week.
Yeah. So I was surprised at that timing as well, and I know some behind the scenes people lost their jobs also. Ugly days at radio.
And that's one of the most uncomfortable situations. And I know you've been involved in this many times, as have I, is when you're a part of the show of a guy or a gal that gets let go, and you got to go on the air in 2 hours. They just whacked one of your partners, right?
Yeah.
And now you got to be like, oh, you know, we got to address it. How do we address it? You know, callers are, you know, and our old boss was very paranoid about that. He would always be like, you know, he'd tell the producer, anybody that calls in about that, just dump them. You know, he didn't want to have any of that go out over the air. And I always thought it was best to just address it and move past it. Yeah.
I was put in that situation one time where I was driving in to do the show. My partner called me and said, I'm out.
Well, that was me.
That was you.
Yeah, that was me.
9:10 a.m. and you're like,
for a 10 o'clock show. Yeah.
Yep. And I'm like, holy shit. What am I going to say when I'm on the air?
Yeah. Now, who did they put somebody in with you that day?
No, I went solo.
Just you and the producer, kind of?
Yeah. I don't know if it was Andrew at that point or Egan. It must have been Andrew at that point.
I think it was Andrew. Yeah.
We wouldn't have got on the air if it was Egan. And I was like, Jesus Christ, how do I attack this? And I just did that. I just said, I attacked it head on after you announced it. So I wanted you to have the first word on your career. But yeah, I agree with you. Don't try and bury it. Just attack it.
It's a tough day, though.
Give the people the red blood.
That's a tough day for everybody. Yeah,
it is. Yeah. It gets really uncomfortable at the station, obviously. Like if you work in an accounting firm or whatever, and they're having layoffs, everybody's on eggshells. It's fucking brutal. So I wanted to bring up this other thing, Harry. Our buddy Temple alum Zach Gelb. His dad, of course, was I guess
Bob
the original.
Gelb.
Yeah, the original producer for Mike and the Mad Dog.
I think so. I mean, he was one of the original guys when the Fan went to All Sports.
I think he's their longest tenured employee, by the way.
Is that right?
Yeah. I believe he is. And his son, Zach, Zach's a great, I don't want to call him a kid.
No,
he's a great young man.
Yeah.
He has always known what he wants to do for his career.
Oh, yeah. I think he was doing shows when he was about 8 or 9 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously he had a ton of exposure. He was in the studios quite often with Mike and the Mad Dog.
Up in New York and CBS National and all that stuff, which is where he works now.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And we brought him in one year. I was like kind of getting in touch and getting to know him a little bit. And when I was at Fanatic, I told Hagian about him. Like, let's bring him in. We talked to him. We bring him in to conference. Corner here. And came in and, Zach was looking for some work at the time, and we brought him in to do the Eagles post-game show.
Mm-hmm.
He hosted the post-game show that year. And like he came in and just blew Matt's doors off, just like he had a passion,
Mm-hmm.
like he was, and
he's into
this kid.
Yeah.
But Zach's doing very well. He's got that national show, and he gets really big guests on. Obviously, because the national.
Well, the national is easier, a little easier. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's
got in New York.
A lot of people working to get those guests, and he's got good connections. So he had Deebo Samuel on from the 49ers.
Right.
And this has been buzzing around Twitter and really kind of making the rounds of, was this out of line? Was it not out of line? The questioning. We know Deebo Samuel, like he said, if Zach Purdy didn't get hurt, the Eagles beat the shit out of the 49ers.
Right.
And they were pulling people out of the stands to play quarterback.
Their third, fourth, fifth string quarterback wasn't able to get it done. Yeah.
So here is the exchange with our buddy Zach Gelb at Zach Gelb, ZACHGELB on Twitter, on CBS Sports Radio Network with Deebo Samuel. I want people to listen to this and make up their mind. We'll discuss. Here it is.
Deebo Samuel here with us. Well, something that is your call. I saw what you said about the Eagles back at the Super Bowl at Sirius, where if Brock Purdy didn't get hurt, you guys would have won that game by double digits. Why would that have been the case?
I don't know. That's old.
So do you not still believe that?
I mean, I do, but I mean, we're not. That shit is like, we're not gonna keep talking about it. I mean, I said what I said.
Gotcha. So then what happens this year when you play Philly on December 3rd?
I don't know. Just wait till week 13, 12, whatever we get into. We'll show you.
Well, then you know how that's going to go down. You're going into Philadelphia. Those fans are going to be booing you loud. You have a message for Eagles fans?
Hey, guys.
Yeah?
All right, we're good to go.
What do you mean? We have Deebo on right now.
Yeah, I know, but we're going to head into camp right now.
Are you serious? Okay. Thank you. There you go.
Bye.
Deebo Samuel right there. Doesn't want to answer a few questions.
All right, so let's clip it there.
That was great.
He hung up on him. What a fucking baby.
Yeah, I know. I kind of get it from both, from his side too. Like, dude, this is a long time ago now. I've addressed this probably many times on other shows, what have you. I kind of get where he's coming from, but he shouldn't have hung up. No. Like, he should have just addressed it and said, we'll take that up with them, in December or whenever, week 13, whatever it is, to be continued, whatever. And I don't have a message for Eagles fans except that we're coming. Something like that. Boom. Yep. Done. Shouldn't have hung up. They got
us last year. It's our turn this year.
Right. Yeah.
He could have played the game.
Right.
But, I think it's a fair question because the 49ers players went on and on about how they would have beat the Eagles in that game. I forget what the final score was, but again, the Eagles killed them.
Oh, it was a total blowout. Yeah.
Yeah.
30-something to 7, I think, or
Brock
whatever.
Purdy wouldn't have mattered. I know they had like their fourth string quarterback in who hadn't played since he was at Illinois at the quarterback position, right? But I mean, if you're going to make those statements, you got to be able to be called out on it. And I imagine that he was fine doing all that 49er sports talk radio where it was friendly fire and they were laughing about it and stuff. And these
and they were agreeing with him with the take that, hey, had Brock played, we would have won.
Yeah,
I don't think they would have won. I think the game would have been competitive, but I don't think the Niners would have won.
I agree.
Yeah.
And you can't say if this, if that. That's part of football.
Yeah, unfortunately it is. I mean, injuries are part of the game. And the guy that they had back, I mean, they'd gone through so many injuries at the key position. They kind of lucked out in that Brock Purdy was what he was.
Yeah,
to be honest with you, because I don't think they ever thought that would have been the case. Like, yeah, we're going to be down to Brock Purdy and we're going to get to the NFC Championship.
Yeah, and we'll be fine because we got Brock Purdy.
Right. Right. But good for Zach. He made a lot of news. It went viral. It's still out there on every website's picking it up and people are listening to it and discovering his name that otherwise may have never heard of him. So it's good for him.
Yeah. And a lot of people are saying, like, ask better questions. I think that's a valid question.
That's all part of what we did. Everybody else can do it better.
Yeah.
So
got a good response. We'll pump it out.
Yeah. Oh, he would have been going crazy with that.
Well, his guys apparently one of his shows at 95.7 The Game in San Francisco took like all these shots about Eagle fans and how classless it is here. This 49er fan base is turning into, Harry,
the Vikings,
the Skull fans.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Isn't that funny?
What a bunch of bitches.
What's the common denominator? They both got their asses kicked by the Eagles.
Here.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And they're just crying about it. God, it's such lame sportsmanship. It's so pathetic.
That is the lowest hanging fruit on national sports radio. Is the Philadelphia fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, really.
I think Johnny Marks tweeted him back and was like, didn't somebody get murdered outside your stadium?
Yeah. Well,
like, that's not funny, but
no, but yeah. The thing is, I don't know from listening to that if Debo was on just to promote a product, because a lot of times that's what happens, especially like Radio Row at the Super Bowl, is all these ex-athletes walking around promoting this, that, Old Spice, Hennessy, you name it. And all they want to talk about is the product. Like, they're not there to really talk sports or to give the host any insight and the listeners any insight into anything. All they want to do is say a couple of their scripted lines about whatever they're repping and get the hell out of there. And those interviews suck.
Yep.
Okay. I used to hate doing them.
I think you're right, because the woman comes on the phone.
Yeah.
And usually there's somebody there setting up the queue for the calls, and he's just banging them out.
A handler. We used to call him, not Chelsea handler, but a handler.
Yes. Because and look, you got to understand, you can promote your stuff, but you got to give us something.
Yeah.
You're not just coming on. We're not here to do you favors so you can make more money.
I remember being at the Radio Row the first time I was there, and Shander and I were working together, but he was also doing some national show in the morning, because he couldn't do enough shows.
Yeah.
So he had like a 2-hour national gig on some other network. So I'm watching him. I'm sitting in a chair near where he's doing that show, getting ready for our show later in the day. And he had Jerry Rice coming in. And Jerry Rice has this entourage of handlers around him. And he's carrying a bottle of Hennessy. And he's obviously there to promote the cognac or whatever it is. And he sits down with Shannon. They give him the headphones. Like, he's basically, all these people are doing everything for him. And he's sitting there, and Eitan goes right into it the way only Eitan could, and gets right into a question about football. And Jerry Rice just pivoted to Hennessy. And that's all Eitan kept trying to ask questions, and he just kept pivoting to Hennessy. Eventually 3 minutes went by. No lie, no longer than 3 minutes. Took the headphones off and got up and went to the next station. And that was all it was. And I'm thinking, like, is that real? That's not good radio. That's awful. You're putting that guy Eitan in a bad spot.
Yeah.
And they don't give a shit, because they're just making their money to promote the product. But it's not good radio.
No, it's lame. That's why I was always against going to that stupid Radio Row bullshit. Oh, you gotta be there.
It was fun once or twice, but I've done it. I've been there, done that. Now, Colin Berger brings up a great one here. Hey, Digger, I hate to do it to you. We're up against it. And I hung up on Digger Phelps because
he was going on and on.
He had a book out, and me and Rob Ellis were working together at the time. And he was coming on to promote the book, and I'm trying to talk to him about other stuff, and he's waxing on about this one, thing in the book, and it was just boring as hell. And I'm looking at Rob, and I'm looking at the clock, and I'm hearing our producer in our ear, and I just jumped in and said, "Hey, Digger, I hate to do it to you, man, but we're up against it. See ya." Boom, hung up on it.
Clip. You didn't even get him. Not even a last word, Digger.
No.
When you were doing shows, how did you ever, after you had a guest on, get a message from either the guest or somebody affiliated with the guest about how the appearance went negatively?
Sometimes, yeah. Not that time, though.
Really? You didn't get anything from ESPN on that?
No, the publisher of the book or whatever. No, never got anything about that. But a lot of people that were listening remember that. That's all that matters to me.
See,
I'll get that when I'm out playing golf. Like if I'm at an event, like an outing or something, and somebody come up, I hate to do it to you, Digger. Like they remember that stuff.
Harry, that's what radio is missing.
Yeah.
Those moments.
Right.
People remember them for, like when you told Coach to get out.
Yeah.
He kept coming into the studio, and he cracked that studio door the one time, and you just like, get out.
I stood up and I threw my headset down and I yelled at him. And I was serious. I was sick of his bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, because he was trying to meddle with me and Bruno. He was trying to Bruno. And you don't do that. And I'm like, you just get out.
Yeah, those are organic moment, like the Bernie from Broomall called it during our show.
Yeah, epic.
I mean, that was none of that is planned.
Yeah. Now,
you just got to be able to pivot and make, a great segment happen.
Now this one that emanated when I was when Sean Brace was the producer, and I think I was working with Baldy, and we had a string of calls that were all awful or bad connections. It was just like three or four in a row. It wouldn't have been two because I wouldn't have gone all.
Let's go to Pete. Pete, what's going on?
And I'm just like, what is going on back there? And I was yelling at Brace and the person answering the phones, which wasn't Brace.
Yeah.
But that lived on forever.
Oh, that was a great one.
I would just blow my stack.
Yeah, you would. But that's what people identified with you. One of the other great drops came on a little bit later. It's when Anthony was hired.
Mm.
The man.
Man. Yeah, it's a great one.
So that one happened. I remember this vividly when it happened. I think it was his first week doing mornings.
Yeah.
And it's like Thursday. And he's having all these guys, his boys on, that he know. And he goes, all right, let's go to the Comcast business hotline. You saw him last night at Eagles flight night. It is the former linebacker, number 54. He goes, Jeremiah Trotter, what's going on, X-Man? And he goes, and Trot goes, what up, cuz? And he goes, man.
That was epic.
He'd do that. Let's go to the Comcast business hotline.
Yeah, he'd do the slow build.
Yep.
Yeah, it was just great.
I heard that and I was like, oh my God.
This is gold.
I couldn't get it off the locker quick enough.
Well, that's the other thing. It's like guys like you and me and Marks, when we were all together, would be listening to the station all the time, like for stuff like that, and when we'd write down the time and then we'd go back into the audio vault, which is what they called it, and we'd pull it and record it, and then it would become part of our show and it become part of the fabric of the radio station.
The drops and the way that they were used there were I would say one of the cornerstones and one of the biggest differences between the Fanatic and WIP, because WIP at that time played no drops. No producers were on the air.
Nope.
It was host, callers.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep. I totally agree with you. Yep.
I remember I must have sent 100 texts saying, that's a drop. Grab it.
Grab it. Yep.
Yep. Or clicking the button in the studio saying, pull that.
Pull that.
Yeah. On like Bruno's, I've seen it enough. The Tiago splitter.
Oh, the Tiago splitter with the LeBron blocking the block or whatever.
Yeah.
And that was the day when I could just tell that he was annoyed. So I just kept tweaking him about it. And saying, taking the other side. That's a terrific block, Tony. What are you talking about? Oh, I've seen it enough. It was so great.
You're like, Eunice, that was a great block.
Yeah,
It's
Eunice.
Like, it was a great block. But I've seen it enough. So good.
Oh, man.
Colin Berger goes, he goes, organic, the beauty of radio with you guys. Remember when Jason coming on 97.3 and singing as Lady Gaga as Anthony? I almost pissed myself that day.
I don't think it was Lady Gaga.
No, it wasn't.
I think it was what's his name's daughter. X's and O's, the song was, right?
Yeah, El King.
El King, correct.
Isn't she the comedian? Turned him to a man. Told him all the things that he couldn't understand. Whoa. And I go, yo, Mikey Mish. They call me the Bo.
I remember that, man. I was dying. And Mike was dying.
Oh, my God.
He couldn't control himself. He was laughing so hard.
It was, I did it out of the blue, didn't rehearse it at all. Just played the YouTube song and did it.
Yeah.
And 5 minutes later, I see the hotline.
Oh, it's Anthony. Yeah.
He goes, I'm going to fucking kill you.
I'm going to kill you.
He didn't like the impression at times.
No.
He was like, he comes up to me one day. I think you were standing there when he was doing mornings. We were doing middays.
Yeah.
And he's standing there when we're getting ready for the show. And he comes back. He goes, yo, cuz. I go, yo. He goes, it's cuz, not cuz. I go, what do you mean? He goes, it's cuz, not Cudge.
And you knew what he meant. You just wanted him to do it again. That's like
so I could recount the story,
of course,
as him.
Yes.
So funny.
Oh, and that's when he started calling you the mountain troll.
Yeah,
because he was annoyed with you about that.
He
probably still is.
I will say I was a bit intimidated.
Yeah.
I was like, this dude, I don't know if he's going to really enjoy this impression.
Yeah.
It is kind of way over the top. But, yeah. Funny shit. Unbelievable.
All right. Now, I hate to get out of this, but don't we have to talk a little sports?
Well, let's tell the people about Fudge Kitchen first, then we'll get into some sports because our Fudge Kitchen's our great sponsor, the original.
Yeah, the original Fudge Kitchen, the original and official sponsor of Not For Long Media and the Odd G's podcast, a staple at the Jersey Shore. Jason was just down there a couple weeks ago at their Ocean City location. You can also catch them in Cape May, Wildwood, and Stone Harbor. The original Fudge Kitchen makes all of their fudge right in the store, guaranteeing a delicious product. Stop by and let them know that N4L sent you. But you're not able to visit in person, not a problem. They ship across the country. Just check out their website, fudgekitchens.com, shipping fudge and sweet treats across the country.
Beautiful, man.
Exactly.
So what did you want to talk about? You asked a question. Do we have to talk about some sports? No.
Well, did you watch any of the All-Star game?
No.
I
was
did.
On the sim rig last night racing, huh?
Oh, the F1 simulator? Okay.
Yeah. Celebrating the return of Danny Ricciardo, Dan Rick, as they call him.
Now, who won the race this past weekend?
Verstappen. He's won
Verstappen, yeah, because I walked in. It was funny. I got pulled off the golf course both Saturday and Sunday and couldn't finish my round due to rain and lightning and all this shitty weather we've been having. And the one day I walked in, I think it was Sunday, they had the race on, and a couple of the bartender and a couple of the other guys are really into it. And I said, let me guess, Verstappen's in first place. And I turn around, they're like, yep. And I'm like, this sport is the same every week.
Yeah, he's so good.
He never loses.
No, the car's so good. And he's just, I mean, he's the best driver in the world right now. And they just, nobody can keep up with him. I mean, he led like 5 races, like 200 and some laps before relinquishing the lead 2 races ago.
I don't know what kind of ratings they get, and I know in other parts of the world
very
it's a
well
huge
now
thing.
Yeah.
But don't they run the risk of like sort of a tipping point where it's like, all right, I can't bet on it because they have to bet without Verstappen. They take him out and say, all right, here's the rest of the race. Like it's that dominant.
Right. Yeah. Predictability in sport is usually a death knell, because you want to think that anything can happen.
Right.
And in a race, obviously it can. I mean, you can get taken out, you can have engine failure, all those things, but that hasn't happened to him this year.
Mm-hmm.
They've had great reliability, performance. He as a driver is just I mean, they've won every race, Red Bull Racing.
Red Bull.
Been either him or Sergio Perez. So yeah, it's been really predictable. That was a good race because there was 2 Brits behind him. And, one in Lando Norris finished second in the McLaren, who was a gong show earlier this year. Great race. And Lewis Hamilton, the 7-time champ, who's been on the podium 14 times at Silverstone, finished P3. So there was some drama to it, but you're right. But no, I was on the sim rig, so I did not watch it.
Okay. I watched it. I pulled in about maybe the 3rd or 4th inning, and I watched it till the end.
Really?
I have to admit, I was kind of into it. But I have and on my observation is a very unpopular opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't seem as big to me because Joe Buck wasn't doing the announcing.
Oh, who's on the call, Harry?
I think it was Joe Davis, I think is his name. And he sounds a lot like Buck. I don't know if he does that intentionally or if that's just his voice, but he does sound very similar to Joe Buck, but he's very straight and kind of dry. Like he doesn't have any wit like Joe Buck had.
Yeah.
And he's working with Smoltz, okay, of course, who's what I think is great. And I don't know, I just didn't feel as big.
Sometimes the announcer makes it. You knew that when the Eagles weren't very good, Harry, and you got the D crew with Chris Myers.
Right.
You were kind of like, this football game does not feel as big as it does when you obviously Summerall, Madden, or like those Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. Like when those guys were, you hear that the presentation of the game feels more important. You know why? Because it is.
Right. And I know it's an unpopular opinion because everybody in Philly or everybody listening to this dislikes Joe Buck and they like to beat on him. But I like his work. No, I remember he used to come on with us.
Yeah.
Yeah. My buddy Ed Svita, who does his stats. He's the stat guy for Joe Buck. No matter where Joe Buck goes, Ed Svita is next to him. He's a friend of mine, and he would hook us up with him every once in a while.
Yep.
And he was great. He'd give us like 25 minutes, almost like he didn't want to get off the phone.
Yeah. I think by the way he came on and attacked the hate, I think he won a lot of people over, kind of like Michael Irvin did in a way. You know what I mean?
But anyway, that was one observation. The other one is that the Phillies players, they shined. They had two guys in the game. One of the other pitcher apparently declined. The guy they got from the Mets, who's got 10 wins. His name escapes me right now, but he was apparently going to be a part of the rotation. Who said, "Nah, I want to spend time with my family for a couple of days, take a couple of days off." But anyway, Kimbrel came in and closed things down with some drama, and Castellanos got on base twice, and I believe scored 2 of the runs. He walked and got a hit, so they looked good. And the National League finally won.
So that means home field in the series.
I don't think they still do that.
They don't do that anymore?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. But anyway, I was entertained by it. I'm actually kind of looking forward to the second half. Phillies are 7 games over 500. They got 73 games to play. Think about that. 73 more games than the regular season.
Imagine looking at that as a player and be like, Jesus.
Oh,
for those teams that are totally out of it.
God, they got 7 against the Mets, the Marlins, who are in the lead of the wild card, believe it or not. 7 against Atlanta and 7 against the Nationals. So the whole division, they played 7 more times. And they got the Padres 7 times, who are a team that's stacked and not far out of the mix. They're a tough team. They'll get better as the second half goes on. Milwaukee, who's pretty good. The Baltimore Orioles are good this year. They got 3 against them. Who else? They got 3 against the Angels and Mike Trout and Ohtani. 6 against St. Louis, who stinks. 6 against Pittsburgh, who stinks. Oh, the Giants, the old boss man's team. They play 3 more times. The Giants are in the wild card right now, but the Phillies are like right on the cusp. They're a half game out of the wild card. I think the division's probably gone. They're 12 games back of Atlanta, who doesn't show any signs of slowing down. That run differential that they have is ridiculous. But
yeah, they're great.
I did catch 2 hours of it last night.
Wow, that was a commitment you made. I saw Mikey Miss put out a tweet that the Phillies maybe in the mix for Arenado.
Well, there's a rumor. There's a lot of rumors right now, and it would involve Bohm and somebody else, maybe a minor league player that's higher up in the system leaving. And of course, Philly fans are going to fret losing Bohm. Arenado is a flat stud. Like if you can get him, and you have to give up on Bohm, see ya.
Sorry. Yeah. We tend to fall in love with our own a little too early sometimes.
Yeah. Well, especially when he took ownership of the "I hate this freaking place" comment. That bought him, a lot of grace with the fan base, and now they like him, and he's playing well too.
Yeah,
he can hit.
Yeah, he can hit. That's the thing is, you can get a guy like Arenado who is the known total stud. You think maybe
playing with the Cardinals who stink, right?
Yeah,
now. Hard to believe the Cardinals stink, but they do.
That's a great baseball city too.
Yeah.
So, you'll get, as I like to call it, Harry, games of consequence now.
Right. Yeah. 73 games of consequence.
Yeah. Maybe not 73, but you're going to get a couple in there.
Right. So but how about the Marlins are 53 and 39?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it'll be a fun second half. Training camp's going to open up in a couple of weeks. It looks like Harden's coming back, I guess, at this point.
That's what I'm seeing. That's who knows what happens there, but maybe he might. I saw this the summer league, which you can never put any stock into, but I saw a lot of highlights of this Terquavion Smith that the Sixers picked up from NC State. He was undrafted. Man, this guy is an athlete, dude.
Yeah,
and he can shoot too. And Jaden Springer, who they drafted a couple of years ago out of Tennessee, was playing well for what it's worth. Maybe they'll be a part of the bench this year, but I was looking at that. And what else? Oh, the NBA is instituting a flopping foul now, specifically for flopping.
Good.
You get like an unsportsmanlike foul or something, and the other team gets the ball and free throws or whatever. So that's pretty good.
So it leaves it up.
Yeah, I don't know. No, I don't know if it's a technical or just like an unsportsmanlike foul. I don't know, but they're trying to crack down on it. Is the point?
Yeah, good, because it looks bad.
Yeah. Well, the only other thing, it's a very subjective call though by the referees.
Yeah, because you can be caught flat-footed in a way. It looks like you're flopping, but you just weren't on your balance, and it would take a feather just to make you fall over.
Right.
Like Bill Laimbeer was great at that. Like he was always flopping like a fish out of water. Great Bill Laimbeer.
Yeah. And the other thing I saw, Leslie Van Houten. Does that name ring a bell?
No. Leslie Van Arsdale works in news in Philadelphia.
I knew that's where you were going to go. Good job. Leslie Van Houten was part of the Manson gang. Charles Manson in the late 60s, 1969, of course, wreaking havoc over the Los Angeles area for a couple of months until they were finally caught. And she was released from prison yesterday, I believe.
That's the first one to be released then, right?
53 years in the joint. The governor there, who's going to be probably the presidential candidate for the Democratic side, said he didn't want her parole, messed with. Like, she's out.
Newsom said that.
Yes, Gavin Newsom. And she was involved in the grisly Tate LaBianca murders in 1969. Your thoughts on that? Like, should somebody granted she was 19 when it happened, and I get, the whole thing, like, impressionable, idiotic teenager, brainwashed, does something heinous. Should they be left in prison to rot for the rest of their life?
Yeah, I think there's mitigating as circumstances here, Harry. I'll put on my law hat real quick.
Okay.
Because obviously she was very young, and I think that she has served her debt in this regard. The mastermind is not going to ever.
No, I know, but these were very grisly. I mean, there was blood all over the walls. I mean, this was a horror show. Yeah. This wasn't just going, not that it's any better to just kill somebody almost humanely, but this was really bad.
Yeah. I think she was pregnant too, if I recall.
Yes.
So yeah. I mean, 53 years.
53 years.
With your freedom gone. Oh my God, that's a long time. I mean,
I don't know how you readjust to society after that, to be honest with you, but that's her problem.
There is no adjustment because she doesn't know what society is.
It's sort of like the old guy in Shawshank. Remember when he gets paroled and he just doesn't know how to fit back in and he kills himself?
Yep. Some people that became normal for them.
Right. That was that. Right. That's what they became their norm. The new normal is, then you get left out and you're like, man, I'm a 70-year-old, old person. And now I'm back in society. What do I do?
Yeah. I have no idea how to live this way. The thing that's crazy, like I feel I'm infatuated with the stories of people who are imprisoned wrongfully and eventually are exonerated. They gave up 35 years
of their freedom. Yeah.
And eventually it's proven that they did not commit the crime.
Right.
I'm like, how are you not walking around just so angry?
I know
that your life was taken away for 35 years. You're eating crap, living in those conditions for something that you did not do.
Right.
Like we've all said, I didn't do it.
Yeah.
Leave the dishes in the sink.
Right.
But Jesus, could you imagine what it would be like that?
No, I couldn't.
I'd be so pissed off.
Personally, I would have just preferred she stay in prison.
Keep her locked down.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the point in letting her out at this point?
Seriously.
Yeah. Well, I think we wrap it up there, Harry.
All right.
I think we're at the barometer now of, okay, we got nothing else.
Okay. I'm with you.
You may have been there a little earlier. You're like, do we have to still keep going? Do we have to talk about sports? But you had some good things to say. So
yeah.
Great stuff. Let's wrap it up.
Soon we'll have football. Soon.
Yeah. It's right around the corner. It's crazy. Yeah. I've had enough of this weather, by the way.
What do you mean? Well, I've had enough of the rain.
so humid for like a bunch of days. I couldn't take it.
Yeah.
It's just suffocating.
Yeah. Well, what I hate about it is that produces these big thunderstorms. Yeah. That's what I hate about it.
Yeah. Sometimes the thunderstorms may cool off a bit though too, but it's just going to go back up. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but we got like 5 inches of rain the other day.
Wow.
At my place. Yeah.
You got the flash flood warnings.
Yeah. Totally.
On the phone. Yeah. All right. That's episode 67. Everybody enjoy your week. We'll be back next week and we'll see what's new to discuss at that time. Follow Harry on Twitter at Harry Mays TU, myself at JASONMYRT. Harry's on. You're on Threads as well. What's your handle there?
Yeah, I tell you, I'm already over the Threads thing. I think.
Yeah, I have no habit with it.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I've posted a couple of things, and I find myself almost like forcing myself to do, and that shouldn't be. You know, I think it's over. He had a day.
Yeah,
Zuck had a day.
Shitload of signups.
Yep.
But yeah, it's not a habit for me.
No.
If Twitter went away,
right,
maybe it would become a habit, but it hasn't yet. So we'll be back next week. Leave us a 5-star rating and review. Maybe we'll read some reviews next week. And by the way, I got to get Tommy Conwell on. I got a message from Tommy.
Yeah.
We had David Usickinen on a couple of weeks ago. He didn't even hear that episode. I sent it to him.
Oh, really?
So, David's on this one. I'll check it out. I'm at the Phillies game right now. But he sent me this text totally out of the blue. He says, Jason, I've been sleeping on the OG's podcast, but I'm a listener now. You guys are the only schmucks in the world who I'll listen to sit there and bullshit. Love you guys. Love Harry's take on NBC. Fantastic. Your appearance on Missing Ellie's pod was his best episode ever. Keep it up. Talk to you later.
Wow, so that's a great rating and review. Now, did he give us a 5-star rating, though?
He gave a thumbs up in there, too.
Okay.
So we may have to get him to do an iTunes one. And I said, we got to get you on, and we got to get you to be able to play when you're on.
Right.
He said, you tell me when and where.
Wow. Maybe he could do sort of a theme song for us.
Yeah.
That would be pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's now your man.
It was, I'm not your man. Now he is your man.
That's great.
So we'd love to get Tommy on, and he's a great guy.
Yeah, he is.
And I loved working with him.
David and the Hooters are killing it, from what I understand, over in Europe right now, Germany.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get a post-tour update from David as well.
Yeah, when they come back to the States.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, that's episode 67. Everybody have a great day. We'll talk to you next